everything you need to know about products and services that can improve your life. This is Experts on Call on CL 650.
This is a house that Jack built, y'all. Remember this house.
Hey, and welcome to the show. It's good that you're with us here on CL 650, talking about living in strata, and many people, we see that in the lower mainland. Buildings aren't going out, they're going up, and people are living in towers and living in stratas, and you have to deal with the strata and the other people that live in the building, and sometimes there's issues, and we have the people here to solve that. From Key Pacific Property Management, Drew Grout, Director of Strata Services. Key Pacific Property is a management company that helps manage buildings, and Mark Furkatich from Valley All-Door, owner and operations manager. And we haven't finished off our questions about the gates here, Mark. So we talked a little bit about vandalism and people getting into the underground parkade there. But how do you prevent vandalism to the gate itself? Because I guess they want to get in through the gate to the parkade. So you mentioned a little bit about what you try to do.
Yeah, another way that people do break in is through the top of the gates themselves, where they can disconnect the mechanism. We call it a J-arm off the traveler. They're either bolted or they're quick release for emergencies. You can release the gates, and if there's a power failure, lift the gates up manually. So what we try to do there too is also cover everything possible that anybody can reach in from vandalism from the outside in, and that's
custom fabrication you're doing, right?
Yep. Yeah, sometimes as simple as just a 2x3 piece of angle that's covering the top of the gate. Some gates do not have any type of protection where you can actually reach in. So we cover them either with a bit of Lexan, just enough that you can't get in there to release the doors manually, or vandalism.
Well, I guess there's a lot of new stratas that go in, new buildings, and they don't know they have this accessibility through the top until it happens, right?
Yeah.
So you might get the call after the fact, where the door installer that put it in just puts in a basic door because that's all the building required at the time, right?
Sure, yeah, especially some of the older gates, and vandalism now is more prevalent anywhere. It doesn't matter if you're in West Vancouver, Langley, but Cloverdale, everybody's getting some type of vandalism, whether it's through the security gate or walking through the front doors, like you say, following somebody in. It is a major problem.
Yeah, that's part of what we do with our councils too. Is we'll be doing site visits and looking around the property and picking up on things like that, where you may suggesting that you may want to look at some upgrade on their gate for security reasons, just because we've experienced in the past with other ones. We may note that those gaps exist or something of that nature. All
right, power failure. Now, it's a power-operated door,
yes,
but you still got to go out somewhere. Like, who do you call? That's an expensive. You were going to say Ghostbusters. I know it.
Yeah.
I was. And everybody listening in the car was going, Ghostbusters. But no, that's not the case. But who do you call? You don't want an emergency call to you. Because that's expensive. So how do people get in and out in a city? Now, and we'll follow up with Drew. Who should somebody be trained on how to work this gate, right?
Yeah, that's stratas themselves either have site contacts, either council members. Some of the smaller stratas are very good at doing that. They try to save themselves some money. Somebody on site knows how to open the gates manually. Buildings that are lucky enough to have a genset. And it's
what's a genset?
A generator for their lighting systems.
Yeah. Right.
A lot of them are hooked up to their security gates, so they're going to run. But yes, when there's a power failure, the gate's shut down, unfortunately. So you have somebody on council, or they call us to come out and get the gate open for them.
Or can you do it remotely? Can you walk them through it?
Yes, I try always to walk them through it. And most are very good at it. Other ones, some of the larger buildings, they just don't have, nobody actually wants to be on council. It's hard to find somebody or somebody on maintenance.
And then all else fails. Do you have an F350?
Yeah.
Get it up to about 60K. That should take care of it.
Yes.
No, we get those calls a lot, and and we try to prepare for those possibilities. And with like you say, a caretaker if you have one on site, or council volunteers, or some other contacts. Or at least some place where the person you're talking to on the phone can go see some instruction.
Now, is that something you would have a booklet that a binder or something that you could say, okay, if this happens, here's the 3 things you should check, right? Is there anybody on a strata usually that has like a kind of like a master guide to the building for things like power outages or backups or how to switch off water mains, those sorts of things?
Yeah, and every strata should have something to that degree. And the more complicated your systems are at your strata, the more involved or larger that binder would be. Councils are often very knowledgeable of these things, but yeah, it's always good to have some place where you've got just a list of how to deal with things. Water shutoffs is a perfect thing. It's nothing worse scrambling with a leak and not knowing where the water shutoff is.
Now back to the security gate, Mark. So the next question is there an operator available or a backup battery system? So can you put like a car battery there or something that will work it for a little while?
No, but the great news is, as of the last couple of months, there has been some operators out there with battery backup in the past. There's a new one on the market, came out just a couple of months ago with a built-in battery backup, DC operated, that will open the gate when the power failure, if there is a power failure, the gate opens automatically, stays open.
So it just has to do it once.
It just opens once.
Right.
Now that saves especially larger building stratas. People are in and out. They never have to worry about being stuck in there. And sometimes they're there for an hour or two. And eventually people figure out how to open it manually. I mean, I'll walk them through it. We have drawings, as you were talking earlier, that I can fax or email to stratas to say, here, this is how you do it manually. But the battery backup, yeah, it's great. And we're excited about it because we've had this question every time there's a power failure.
I'm surprised it's taken until almost 2017 to have that, right?
It is really amazing, yeah. And they're great. We're excited. We've got 4 in operation already.
Do you need a new gate in order for this to work, or can you add this to an older gate?
It's just replacing the operator. And stratas with older operators, 10, 15 years old, when they're due to upgrade, I now give them the option of what you have existing or you upgrade to the battery backup. And I think they're going to work real well. I mean, it's, people are going to work. They've got emergencies. They're going out somewhere, and they need their gate open.
Now, is it the same, like you buy a house or what have you, and you get what the builder grade sort of countertop, the builder grade bathroom fixtures, they put in the basic kind of stuff, right? Do you get the same thing with an underground door and gate? They've put in sort of like the basic kind of gate, and okay, well, that one's only got a lifespan of 10 years or 5 years. And is that a common occurrence? Well,
the aluminum security gates that you most commonly see here, 2-3 section overhead gates, they're the most used in today's market just because of the longevity of them. You can go to some stratas have solid sheeted doors. They're more of a commercial door, not really designed for high cycle use. The problem is that they might only be a 5 or a 10-year gate,
right?
And you do rarely see that in new construction. They're almost always the aluminum because there isn't anything that has the longevity as the aluminum open grill.
So most builders are putting in the good quality stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now we're going to get some questions for Drew. Drew is the director of Strata Services at Key Pacific Property Management. Let's start out with Christmas trees. Christmas trees. Christmas will come and go. The tree is still there. I remember, I think in our house we had a Christmas tree until April. It was a sad looking thing. It's just because it was my dad and my 2 brothers. There was no woman in the house to say, get rid of the tree. But it sat there, and it was kind of embarrassing when people came by. The tree was still there. That's a true story. But you want to get rid of the tree. Yeah,
April.
I'm pretty sure.
This looked like Charlie Brown's tree at the end of it.
It was sad. It was sad. Yeah, I know. It still had some decorations on it, so it was still kind of festive. But Christmas trees in a strata. It sounds like a gong show to me because I know getting rid of the Christmas tree, you got to do it pretty quickly or else it's just a needle fiesta. Yeah. So what are the stratas doing around that?
More and more stratas are implementing bylaws or putting in place bylaws prohibiting live trees.
Oh, yeah. I could see that.
And for a couple of reasons. One is the mess they make dragging them through the hallways.
If you take it out in April, nobody would suspect it's a Christmas tree.
So you get the needles. Now this is mostly in condos, not so much a problem with townhouses. It's just like your own house. But in condos, dragging the trees through the hallways, leaving needles all over the place, and the needles are hard to get rid of.
They keep showing up. For months.
Going down the elevator.
So there's the issue of needles in the hallway. You get places where people will throw the trees off the balcony.
That's the fast way.
That's the fast way. And you know what? They might go down and pick up that tree, but they'll leave the pile of needles down there. The other thing is the continuing fire concern.
Sure.
More and more in stratas in condos, and they present that. So stratas on an increasing rate are implementing bylaws prohibiting live trees, unless they might be live trees that are in a
you can replant them,
like in a planter.
Yeah,
that's not like any other plant in your place. It's not going to dry out, cause that problem.
Yeah, I guess it just comes down to the not so common sense.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's a few people who just don't do what they should do that really cause these rules and bylaws to be put in place affecting everybody.
Yeah, because you walk down the hall and then you're tracking the needles into your house, into your unit, right?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to get into the mailbag here. The first one says, we're considering making an offer on a unit in an existing strata. We don't want to get burned, so contacted the strata manager to request minutes and financials for the last several years. She refused, saying that the information is private. How can I make a smart buying decision without the details?
Yeah.
Why would they say you can't look at the minutes and what have you?
Well, it's because they are private to a large extent, but that doesn't mean they're inaccessible. The Act provides for documents of Strata Corporation to be requested by an individual, an owner or tenant. So this person can obtain the information you want by going through the listing realtor, who can, because they have authorization from the owner to represent them, request whatever documents may be needed and available to help potential buyers make that decision. Form B, is a document always requested, and it gives some basic information about the strata lot itself, financial commitments, any agreements, or take care of common property, which we've talked about.
Or outstanding maintenance issues too, right? In the minutes, wouldn't it?
Well, that would be in the minutes. So when you order this Form B, you can order a whole whack of supporting documents, which typically would include minutes for the last 2 years.
Now, what about that 30-year, what do you call it? The
depreciation report.
The depreciation report.
Yep.
Can you get that?
You would request that as well. So they can obtain those sorts of things. If they've been approved and properly accepted by the Strata Corporation, they're available to the owner. And what's available to the owner is available to anyone the owner gives authorization to request those documents. In this case, it would be realtors that we get hundreds of these things happening.
Yeah. So do you think the property manager in this case is a little out of line?
Well, I think they were. They should have directed them as to how they can get that information. Right. They're not at liberty to provide that information to somebody.
It has to come from the owner of the unit. Right?
The owner has to, under Section 36 of the Act, give authorization to somebody to obtain these documents.
That's Drew Grout, Director of Strata Services at Keep It Safe Property Management. Also joining us, Mark Furkatich from Valley All Door. He's the owner and operations manager. Good. Got that one right the second time around. When we come back, more of your questions and answers on StrataLife right here on CL 650.
This is Experts on Call on CL 650.